Okay, welcome to another episode of Fortunes and Freedom. Y'all already know me, Joe Pellegrino, owner of J. Michael Strategies, and I have with me today a very, very special guest who's really not a guest. This is more of a permanent resident. This is Mrs. Gabrielle Saint-Amour. And
You can call me Gabi.
Gabi Saint-Amour, who is our brand new marketing director here at J. Michael Strategies. So we are super excited to have Gabi here.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me join the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great having you here. And one of the key reasons that I wanted to bring you onto this show specifically is because you've got some pretty significant experience in running all different campaigns, and we'll kind of go through them. And it's a little bit it's some very different experience from what a lot of the guys on our team have.
Okay.
And so it's really, really great to kind of bring you into the fold from an operational perspective, but also onto this show where a lot of what we're talking about is digital marketing and funnels. And I want to kind of bring in that sort of broader campaign strategy and kind of hear a little bit about what you've done in the past and some of the campaigns that you've worked on and this and that. Mm-hmm. But first, why don't you just give us a nickel tour of who you are and what you like to do and, the basic stuff.
A little bit about me. Okay. So I'm actually was born and raised in South Florida. So we are in the Southwest Florida area, and I was born and raised in Naples. So I am back in my hometown, but I have just recently moved back here. I had spent many, many years in New York City. I was living in New York and working in New York for many, many years, and also in Los Angeles too. That's where I built my career, was in both LA and New York. And it's just, I've been so fortunate with the experiences I've had and the companies and teams I've worked with. Every opportunity I've had has just taught me so much over the years. Coming back to Naples is interesting. It's definitely like a new chapter in my life.
It's like a new old chapter, right?
I know. It's like, okay, remix.
Yeah.
So coming back mainly due to, 2020 was a weird year for all of us.
What happened in 2020?
A few things. Was COVID? I don't know. Living in New York, it was crazy. Let me just say that. It was definitely a challenge to live and work in a quarantine town. We were locked down. Working remotely in a tiny little apartment in Brooklyn. There's just a lot of stress, a lot of additional stress. People are, New York is go, go, go. And I just was a lot to handle. And,
Sure.
Trying to just like have your career and your social life. And things are just, it wasn't the same New York for me. I love New York.
Yeah.
I love the city so much. And I took I spent my life working towards building my career and moving to New York, and it was a big part of my life. But I needed to move on and kind of take a step back and look for a location that was a better, healthier living situation for me.
Sure.
And that's when I decided that moving back to Florida, where my roots are, and family and friends here, and it's what I know, what I'm familiar with.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think you know this, but I'm from New Jersey.
Exactly.
I'm from right over the bridge, and we've been. I left New Jersey basically when I went to college, so that was I moved back for like an 8-month stint after college, and I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. But for me, sort of that coming home. It just, the population density up there and the lifestyle is completely different. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I miss New York. I miss like old New York City.
Yeah.
I miss it so much. I especially miss it at Christmas time.
Oh, it's beautiful during Christmas.
Best at Christmas time.
Exactly.
And,
just the energy and the feeling there. The snow, the new fresh snow, before it starts to get a little grungy and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Before it turns to gray slush.
Exactly. And then you're like, I'm a Floridian. Why am I living in New York City?
Well, that was when I decided to move back to Florida. It was the winter of 12 or 13. I can't remember which one. And it was just so cold. And just walking outside in January, February, just like, good Lord. Yeah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, it's too much when you're not used to living in that environment. I was such a baby too, and I'm a runner, so that's my, when you say my thing.
Yeah.
My thing is running, and I'm also certified to be a running coach too.
That's awesome.
So I love it. I would be outside, the whole year round, and wintertime was not fun. I had plenty of times when I would be out there and like, okay, I might die.
Is that like the frozen lung thing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, is this good for me? I don't know. I exercise, I think. I don't know. I got to defrost first.
Yeah.
But running, I could definitely handle like running outside in Florida heat. You just got to hydrate.
Yeah.
It's just a lot healthier.
Yeah.
I think for me anyway. I mean, come on, we have the beach like minutes away.
Yeah. And everything's flat here too, which is.
I know, I'm such
great
a baby.
for running.
It's perfect for running. It's perfect. So no complaints there. And it was just a big change having to readjust to moving back to Naples, which has changed so much since I moved away. When I was 18, it was a long, long time ago. And, the strip malls and places have disappeared and other things have just reappeared. And it's so much hipper now.
Yeah, it's like a real place now. Like
Exactly.
I remember when I originally moved to Naples, I came here quite literally kicking and screaming. Like I did not want to come here at all. And it was a great opportunity, from a job perspective. And this was a company before this one. And so me and my wife pretty reluctantly were like, all right, I guess we're moving to Naples. But the second we can leave, we're leaving.
Give yourself that out. Yeah.
Exactly. And we actually, I think sometimes psychologically you have to kind of do that. And you almost have to like start taking the out to realize that you actually don't want to leave.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened with us. We were actually up in Orlando looking at houses. And we were driving back from it, and my wife just goes, "Nope, we got to stay in Naples. Nope, we've put so much work into building social capital here. We've got a great church, great friends, the whole thing, and to start over, and honestly, like having that sort of pivotal moment for us as a family really changed the way that we looked at Naples, and we were so much more open to like receiving like how great it is to live here.
Exactly.
And
make a home here.
Make a home here and feel like, okay, this is it moved from Naples happened to us to we choose to live here and we choose to settle our family here. So I love it here.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it's being born here. I definitely no complaints. No complaints. I'm just so lucky. I mean, I went to school in Orlando. I lived in New York, and I worked for these big companies that some people would dream of working for. And I went to school at Pepperdine. I got my MBA in the most beautiful campus in the country or the world even. I've been so lucky. And here I am back in Naples, Florida, and I mean, there's really like no complaints.
That's awesome.
Really. So I'm just, everything works out for a reason.
Absolutely.
Like one door closes, another door opens. And so I made my way here, literally.
Yep. Yeah, literally. Right to the studio.
Exactly. There's a reason that, you meet certain people at certain times and it's just, kismet or, whatever you like to call it. So, yeah, you learn from, your mistakes and you learn to, you make better choices. And so I definitely think I've grown in many ways.
That's awesome.
Since the last time I was really in Naples.
Yeah.
New Gabi, new Naples. Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still kind of cool to run into people I went to high school with.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I remember that was whenever I'd go back to New Jersey, because now my whole family is down here. There's literally no reason to go back.
Yeah.
But whenever we would go back, over the past couple of years, that was always like I don't know if it was like a social anxiety, but it was like I was always scared of running into somebody from high school. Yeah.
Now it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they look different. And then we're like, I actually look better than I did in high school.
You start comparing it.
I know.
That's funny.
But yeah, but it's nice to be here in Naples again.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
I just need to go to the beach. I don't know why
Well, isn't that kind of like the thing about living in Naples? You don't actually go to the beach. Like, it's right there, but you don't actually go.
No, it's sad. Okay, I'll put that on my list of things I need to do.
Every time we go to the beach, literally every single time, it'll be like every 6 months or so, we're like, oh man, why don't we come here more often?
Yeah.
And then when we're heading away from the beach and back to the car and we're covered in sand and the kids are crying, and then we remember why we don't go to the beach that often.
Exactly. But it's there if we need it.
It's there if we need it.
Yeah, when the tourists come, when our friends come visit.
Exactly. When family comes, we always go down to the beach, Sunset, Fifth Ave, the whole thing.
Oh yeah, perfect.
It's great.
Yeah. So
Well, good stuff. Well, good stuff. Well, we're happy to have you here back in Naples.
Mm-hmm.
That's so exciting
Thank
that
you.
you're back home, and we're super excited that we get to be a part of that. So tell me a little bit about, obviously, we interviewed a substantial amount of time together. We did 3 interviews with Gabi because we just had to be sure.
Yes.
And a lot of what we were talking about was obviously pretty high level.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to hear from you about some of, specifically some of your favorite companies that you've worked with, because obviously you were in marketing consulting, so you were kind of hopping around to different companies sort of over the past decade and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's a number of campaigns that were more interesting than others, and I would love to kind of hear about like some of your highlights over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to pick favorites.
Yeah.
It's like picking favorite children. But I've just variety. So industry wise, you've heard a little bit about my background. I've worked in entertainment. I've worked in music.
Go ahead, drop some names. Go ahead.
Well, I've worked for Disney. I worked for Sony and Paramount, Fox, and then some like the British television series. That
Oh, really?
You don't know. And then in music, actually probably my favorite brand. My brand management was where I started. My favorite brand was Elvis Presley.
Really?
Hands down, I was Elvis Presley brand manager.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my baby. He's my responsibility. So the Elvis Presley enterprise, they own Elvis Presley brand, but I was in charge of anything licensing related, all the business decisions. So it seems kind of boring in the world. Licensing, you get like contracts and all of that. But then you also have to make you have to have somebody who's your brand leader who's going to make those decisions for, basically being the advocate for the brand. Exactly. Like, does this follow? Like, is this Elvis's, the family's wishes? Does it follow? Is it on brand?
That is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really interesting world. So I went from being in traditional like marketing management to being a brand manager, brand leader, and Elvis Presley was just happened to be my baby.
Yeah.
And on top of that, also Marilyn Monroe too.
Really?
So I had 2 entertainment, they're no longer with us,
right? Of course,
celebrities, but that's why they need a brand manager even more, right?
Right, absolutely.
So it was excellent. So I, as a brand manager, it's a company called ABG in New York City. So it was part of the entertainment brands team. And I got to go to Graceland for Elvis Week. Got to meet. Well, I didn't meet Priscilla, but we were in touch with the other members of the family. But just being responsible for any of the any campaigns that were going out or products, from tchotchkes to something big. If there's going to be like the Elvis hologram, we were working on that. It was just anything Elvis related. We were part of that decision making.
That is fascinating. I didn't even know that. I mean, it makes sense now that you're saying it, but I didn't even know that existed. Like
that's
that
a cool
kind of
job,
situation.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool gig. Yeah. When I heard about that gig, I was like, that's a real gig.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, the only cooler thing than that would have been Mick Jagger's brand manager
right.
for me, because I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. But yeah, I love Elvis and being a big fan, and that's for me is a big part of it. If you're passionate about that industry or the brand, it makes so much more. So the decisions I've made and the companies I've worked with, a lot of it has to do with, am I passionate about this? Do I want to work with cosmetics? I worked in Revlon. So yes, I'm interested in cosmetics. So that was a deciding factor in taking on that position. And Elvis Presley, a huge fan. So being his brand manager, it makes the job even more fun.
For sure.
You already know the brand. You're already the consumer. So you're already in the head of the consumer. But that doesn't mean that I haven't worked in industries where I'm not necessarily the consumer.
Sure.
Like men's products.
Right.
Well, not the direct consumer, but I do know the male, the male audience, of course.
Yeah.
So Elvis was probably one of the most exciting brands to work on.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah. So to be his, I feel like it was his like bodyguard or kind of
Really
him to
cool.
take care of. But yeah, a lot of paperwork. I mean, when it comes to just there's the fun things, and then there's the the contracts and you have to sign, and making sure that licensing agreements and terms and legal paperwork. And so there's the creative side of being in marketing, brand manager, and then there's the financials and the business side of it. And so the good thing about having that the MBA and the business degree was that I was able to I could do both.
Yeah.
So I found that I could use both skills and be able to balance that. So I said, oh, okay, I can do this. So to be a brand manager, it's not just all fun and games every day.
Right.
If we could just be strategy and creative all day long, that would be a blast.
Yeah.
But we do have to stick to the budget every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so
enough.
so working on brands like that was excellent. But I mean, if I thought about some of the other cool things I've worked on, I would be I'm gonna dork out because I'm not, I would say, a girly girl. I love things like video games.
Okay,
too,
really?
Okay, and sci-fi.
Yeah.
So one of my first positions in marketing as a brand manager was the brand manager for a video game company working on their entertainment video games. So this was a company, it was mainly all men. So this is a case where I'm working again with just mainly, this is an all male team. So different and it was cool. I actually really enjoyed that. So I worked on Ghostbusters, had a video game coming out at the time. So I was in charge of the Ghostbusters video game. I was also working on Ice Age, had a video game. In the world of video games, entertainment licenses are not necessarily like the high level echelon. That's not like the latest and greatest. The Call of Duty games are like, that's what the latest. Those are the big hits. Those are the ones that are making the big bucks. The entertainment, you have to sell to the kids too. And if a studio is coming out with a new movie, then you're gonna you want to have a license for the video game as well. So I was working on the entertainment video games, and so for me, I was cool with that. I didn't need to work on Call of Duty.
Right.
I love Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I got to work on the Ghostbusters game. Got to work with the talent.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I got to work on the script, and then all the game features and just all the elements. Just to be the brand manager, your hand is in a lot of pots. You're in charge of your responsibility. You're like owning that, that business, that brand. So being the point person for, internationally, just working with the sales teams all over the world. We had the designers, who were in-house. Then we were working with the video game developers who were like in another country, and getting sign off from the talent, getting sign off from Sony, from the movie studio. So there's a lot of people involved in these decisions. So it's a big responsibility too, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so cool, and a team of men, and we all worked really, really well together too.
That's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but this is your fourth interview, even though you've been here for a week and a half. And you're passing with flying colors.
I don't like to name drop, but it's like, for me, I'm like, I kind of dork out.
Because that's what's so fun to kind of hear you talking about, because you're like super like starstruck about it. You're like, oh my gosh, I worked on the Ice Age video game. Like, that's so cool.
It was so cool.
That's so much fun.
It was so fun, and like being a fan of like, Ghostbusters, being the first person to get to play the game. We had so much fun working on that team. Who you work with, I gotta say, it makes a huge difference. I mean, that sounds like such a blanket statement, whatever, but it makes a huge difference. If you get along with your team, if you respect your boss, if you respect your teammates, you listen to each other, you work well together, it makes all the difference in the world. You could be working on the coolest brand at the flashiest company, but you could have a really nasty boss.
It could be miserable.
And be miserable. And maybe that's happened to me in the past. I'm not going to say 100% if it has, but I haven't had every experience hasn't been 100% roses and sunshine and all that stuff. So but I want to talk about the things that are some of the more positive.
Yeah.
Exactly. But who you work with makes a huge difference, whether it's going to be a good experience or not, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to you're doing your job, but you want to keep advancing. You want to keep, like being able to just grow the business.
Yeah.
Isn't that what everyone wants to do?
Right. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
You want to keep growing the business, whether it's, Disney or it's a startup company, so working together is just the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Communicating as a team.
It's so interesting. I was thinking about it the other night. My wife and I were watching, Disney World is having their 50th anniversary this year.
I can't believe that.
Unbelievable. And we were watching the special that was on and just looking at it. And just as a very small business owner, I'm looking at it and I'm like, how... Like all these moving parts, every tiny little department and every little individual, like everybody has a role to play in every single piece of everything. I mean, from running a theme park to the movies to, everything. And it's incredible to me and inspiring to me that, the way that an organization can be built just based on one man's vision, right? When you think of Walt, like, my goodness, his vision is has carried through more than 50 years past his death.
Exactly.
That to me, like, talk about legacy. Like that's an incredible thing. And no, it really is so interesting. Like, it's interesting to see like how that sort of plays out from a team's perspective. And I'm sure there's been lots of minutia and lots of drama in different places, but that's
always drama.
Always, right? Yeah. But that's sort of what inspires me as a leader is, even when there's minutia and there's crap and there's annoying stuff to be dealt with, even the biggest companies are dealing with that. Yeah, and it's all in how you handle it, and it's all in how you get your team to catch your vision. And that's something that is sort of like the fire under my ass, right? Is like, I got to get y'all to catch my vision. And I want to light your visions up as well, because, it's such a small company. We all play a huge part in this whole thing. And that's it's a lot of fun to kind of be a part of that.
Yeah, to have everyone be able to collaborate or be, feel like they're part of the company. They're not just an employee of the company.
Exactly.
Yeah, the real team. Yeah, the real definition of being part of a team.
Right, like properly, yeah.
Exactly. And having your boss listen to you, be able to like provide feedback and say, hey, listen, I have a recommendation, or I don't know about this or that. It's really refreshing to be able to have that.
Yeah, good.
To have that opportunity.
Good, I'm glad. So I gotta ask you, because I gotta geek out a little bit, because I am, well, I should say, my family, we're Disney people. I know that's super lame. Just don't let it ruin my street cred.
Dude, I love working there. It was so much fun.
Well, this is exactly what I want to hear.
Yeah.
So I know you worked on Brave.
Yes.
Now, I think Brave was not a good storyline. I think it was garbage. I know you had nothing to do with that. But because my wife is from Scotland, Brave is like, we love the music in it. We love the whole idea. We love the three triplets and the whole thing. Again, the storyline is garbage, but great.
It was beautiful though, wasn't it?
The graphics in it were unbelievable. The music was fantastic. So tell us about what you did on Brave.
Oh gosh. So I was in the theatrical marketing team. Very long title. Synergy. It was synergy and promotional marketing. So synergy. I love that term, right?
Great term.
I was like, thank you. I'll take that job title. Synergy within the Disney company. So Disney is a machine, okay? So I'm in the theatrical group, and I get to work with theme parks, consumer products, the stores, Disney, Broadway Disney, all of the different business, business elements of the Disney, machine on the Brave theatrical release. So finding ways to do marketing with the other parts of Disney, not just our theatrical marketing campaign, being like commercials and what we're doing like on television, just with the theatrical team. So it was interesting. It gave me a way to be very creative, to work with the consumer products team on like what are we going to be releasing, any type of we're going to be doing any special events. Are we going to be doing any what are those things called? That's not an event. Prizes.
Okay.
Oh, Sweepstakes.
Sweepstakes.
That's
Gotta
the
get
word.
okay, yeah.
Sweepstakes. I'm always under sweepstakes. Sweepstakes. That was huge. So, so working with the theme parks and the other was Adventures by Disney.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with Adventures by Disney, but
It sounds familiar.
But that's the travel
Okay.
group.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for Brave, we have to work with one of the different business units. So Adventures by Disney had a Scotland. That's a Scotland trip, and it was Brave themed.
Oh, okay.
So perfect opportunity. Ding. It was so cool because it was like I got to be creative, but then a lot of things were just like no brainers. Yeah. And plus, my team. It was a small team, and we worked very well together. But it was just. It was basically like somebody had an idea, and Gabi you do the day to day, you go with it. So we're going to work with the Adventures by Disney team on a Brave campaign. We're going to do sweepstakes, win a trip to Scotland.
Love it. Yep.
Yeah. Although who wouldn't want to have a trip to Scotland? So I worked on this huge campaign. It was a sweepstakes. And at the same time, I also got to work with our media partners. So it was media promotions and partnerships beyond the Disney business, ABC, ESPN. We also work with media partners of like, this is interesting, but we work with like Bravo, and we work with Animal Planet. And so there was media partnerships that Disney did. In the world of entertainment, we're all kind of intermingled. Intermingled. There's different business deals. So Bravo, it made sense to do something with Bravo for Brave. So I had to do a lot of meetings with the Bravo teams and figure out like what show, how do we integrate Brave into Bravo, which is an older female demographic. So the Real Housewives of New York City, timing with the movie was coming out around the same time as the film, so we were going to be just figuring out, okay, an episode of the Real Housewives, the get to know the Real Housewives. I don't know if you're familiar with any of these shows or not. They were very popular.
I remember the Real Housewives of New Jersey because I knew one of them from back home, but all the spinoffs, I don't know.
That's another story entirely.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about that.
But these shows they're so popular, and they're I mean they spun off into all these other cities. So we had one promotion going with Adventures by Disney, full-blown sweepstakes, such a cool prize. It was great. And at the same time, I was also working on a promotion with Bravo on the Real Housewives and get to know the main character, Merida. So we did a special with them where we had exclusive content in the show, and then we would do little snippets on introducing Merida as a strong woman, because the housewives are strong women.
Yes, they are.
Yes, so there's a way to spin. That's for marketing people. We can come up with this.
Exactly.
Yeah, we make the connections. Yeah, and it's just, the R-rated content and Bravo. I mean, we're gonna find a way around that. I don't know. It was a little tricky.
That's so funny.
It was a little tricky, but it was cool because it was different. And for me, when it comes down to it, if I'm working on a brand and we get to do something unique, something a little quirky and unique like that, I love that. So I'm going to run with it. So the day-to-day from, all right, we'll lock that down. Let's make this happen. Okay.
Right.
Well, what do you need? Assets, and you need who needs to sign off on this? And so there would be continuously be meetings. Same thing with the Adventures by Disney crew. So we had to make it something unique and time frame. At Disney, I didn't really have that much time to turn around these campaigns. So it'd be. I think I only had a couple months to just get everything turned around, but yeah, we had to make it work. It's all about the theatrical release. You have to make sure that you're that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a hard deadline.
Hard deadline. But everything it just launched without a hitch. I was like, wow, yay!
Yeah.
So I was very, very excited to see. See my content on Bravo. I got to watch the show for one of the first times. I watched it a few times before that. I was like, what show is this? Yeah. And then to see the Adventures by Disney sweepstakes out there. And so it was really cool. It was cool to be able to make those connections, to be able to do something a little bit different, and to work on to work on a huge film like that. Right. It was beautiful. And to go to the premiere and everything. That's really cool. It was really cool. Yeah, and to meet the talent and everything. But when you live in LA, you meet actors, you meet celebrities all the time. Yeah. So it was but to meet with them, they're like, hey, I worked on this film with you. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah,
Oh.
it's like you're working directly with them. You're part of the team, and so yeah, the Brave. Like being part of that was really exciting.
That
And
is
Pixar films,
right. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Those
another
are
thing.
like, I mean, those are the big dogs in Disney now, the Pixar films.
Exactly. And I was also helping out with Avengers too.
Oh, really?
Coming out. So our team was pretty small, but we were helping out where we can. So Avengers was coming out at the same time. So I wanted to make sure that I could help out a little bit with Avengers.
Yeah.
Since I'm a superhero kind of
Yeah.
dork like that too.
That's so funny.
So yeah, Brave, but that was a great experience. And walking into that building every day, pretty cool. It's pretty cool walking in, being on the lot in Burbank.
Yeah.
Going to special screenings and all of that is the little perks of working for a big company like that.
Those are experiences that you'll never forget. I mean,
Yeah.
A very small percentage of the population gets to experience that.
Exactly.
And that is so stinking cool.
It is really, really cool. It's really cool. And to see, like to watch the movie, say, my name's not in the credits, but I did work on
Right,
that.
you were part of that.
Yeah, I was part of that. I was
Right,
part of
right.
that machine. Yeah,
Right.
it's a huge machine too. So they do a really good job. So yeah, to be part of like that, and I would love Disney. I'm a Disney freak as well. I love Disney. But yeah, Disney is excellent, and I'd say Paramount was another great experience for me too. And Paramount is an older, for me, walking into the Paramount studio lot felt like old Hollywood.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, was even cooler. I guess Disney's very pristine and everything, and Paramount felt very old Hollywood, like if these walls can talk.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a pretty neat experience too. So I worked on home entertainment.
Okay.
So switched gears from film theatrical to home entertainment for Paramount. So it's a different business model because you have to work with the theatrical marketing team. Everything, their deadlines, their, launch date, when the film's coming out in theaters, box office is very important, but your home entertainment marketing plan has to adjust according to what theatrical is doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So when, their window, their size, what their campaign's going to be, we have to adjust, our budget and our, creative and messaging and everything around theatrical. So
when you say home entertainment, you're talking about like DVD releases and stuff like that?
Yeah, I worked on DVDs.
Really?
Yeah, back
back in the day, right?
yeah. But there was streaming was starting to come out, but yes. But DVD, Blu-ray, and we had Blu-ray DVD like
Ooh,
combos. Yeah. So this was
and then
old
they started
school.
adding in the what do you call it, the file for it as well, right? Whereas like you get the Blu-ray, the DVD, and then you get like the license to be able to download it on your iPhone or whatever.
That was after my time.
Okay.
That's high tech.
Yeah,
man.
right.
Yeah.
And now Paramount has their own streaming service, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They have like all the Star Trek content on there.
Is that another big one for you, Star Trek?
Yeah, I also like Star Trek. Yeah,
You're a Trekkie?
I am a Trekkie, but with Paramount, I got to work on Mission Impossible.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol, where he jumps out of the building. Tom Cruise did all of his own stunts.
Unbelievable.
He always does his own stunts. How does he do it? That guy's
beats me.
Yeah, he's like superhuman.
Golly.
But I mean, just from all the people that worked on the film, that told me that he was such a good guy, like so down to earth, appreciative. So I only heard really good things about Tom Cruise.
That's cool.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't meet him in person. We didn't have coffee or anything.
Yeah,
But I heard he's a great guy to work with, and I mean, hardworking as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mission Impossible is probably our biggest release while I was there. Paranormal Activity. Yeah, I think I was working on 7 titles. That were coming out around the same time.
Wow.
So when you're sometimes there's a lot more going on than you might expect, but you just kind of have to shift gears, depending on like when a film, like the release dates change on a dime.
Is that right?
It depends on competition too. So it's interesting. The world of entertainment is a whole other machine.
Yeah.
You got to look at what the other studios are doing,
Right.
and you constantly have to look at like box office, like numbers, box office like release dates. That's all a matter of timing. the right time.
My goodness, that is fascinating.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah, being on the set and working with people who've been in the industry for decades and decades, and you knew known like the old school Hollywood, studio people, and you just hear some really cool stories, stuff that I would nerd out about. I love that. I'm kind of an entertainment dork.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are some of the bigger ones that you might have heard. There's some others that were also fun for me, that might be a little more girly or
all those
smaller fry.
All those that you name are, that was incredible. I expected this conversation to be very interesting, and it definitely fulfilled expectations on that. Really, really cool.
Okay, cool.
No, seriously, that's really, really interesting stuff. You don't really think about all the stuff that goes into, all that in the entertainment industry. There's so much. There's so many moving parts, I would imagine.
And there's a lot of people involved in the decision-making process. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Very bureaucratic.
There's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of people, like the producers, the talent, the studio heads. So there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. And so that's probably one of the bigger challenges as when you work for a bigger company is getting multiple people to sign off.
Right.
So you have to kind of factor that into your deadline and everything.
Right.
That's just the way it goes, though.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about working for a smaller company, or even when you work for yourself. Because I worked, as a consultant for years, is that you make your own deadlines and you just it's, do I like this? Yes, I do.
Right. Exactly.
Approved. Go.
Exactly. No, that's awesome, and that's the thing. Like, I'm like, for me personally, I always wanted to be in working on a big campaign like that. And, I've worked on a lot of different campaigns within different companies, but all small, very, very small ball. And, as much as that all sounds so exciting and so interesting, I love being able to keep it small ball. I think it's like you said, when you're working in those big organizations, there is so much red tape. There's so much, and there's so much incredible experience to be garnered from that. But that's why I hire people like you who have that experience. Man, I just, it's really, really cool kind of being able to do things on a smaller level, because we can experiment and we can play and we can just, that's what Andrew and I like to say. This is like our playground, like figuring out new ways to reach new people. At the end of the day, like we talked about this morning, it's about the result. It's about how do we get people to buy what we're selling. At the end of the day, for all of our clients, that's what it is, right? What are the ways that we do that?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so great to have you on the team, because you bring this wide breadth of experience that, a lot of our guys don't have. And so it's cool to kind of see like how we kind of fit that, we'll call it traditional marketing, into, this sort of, digital funnel style marketing. Man, we can't lose with that methodology.
Power team, right?
Power
there.
team. I'll tell you honestly, I love this team. I'm so grateful to have you on it, and I'm grateful for all these guys out there. And we're gonna do pretty amazing things over the next couple weeks, months, and years. But we are just about out of time here. So Gabi, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And thank you, all 5 of you, for watching. We're super grateful. We know that you have a limited number of minutes in the day, and we're super happy that you've chosen to spend 40 of them with us today. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe, and also hit the little notification button so that you get notified every time we come out with a new episode. Right now we're pushing them out about once a week. We're expecting to gain a little bit of steam and be publishing a little bit more frequently, so make sure you look out for that. You can find us on Instagram at Fortunes Freedom. You can also reach me personally on Instagram at Joe Pellegrino. And make sure you leave us a comment. Make sure you hit like. Give us a little upvote on this video if you got anything out of it. And thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Gabi, thank you so much.
Thank you.